one of the biggest reasons I wanted a VR headset was to play a game called Cooperate with the Giantess. That's what the File Explorer listing says for it. I don't know for sure if that's what the Japanese translation is. And we talked a little bit about the Giantess stuff recently because we were talking about Gun Pixies, and I was trying to figure out why does the giant person in Gun Pixies matter? Because when I look at Gun Pixies, what I think about is the adoptive storyline. That's the thing that excites me most about Gun Pixies. And then also the secondary to that is jumping around on bookshelves and stuff and shooting things. It's kind of fun navigating around a world that you're a tiny person in. I think it's just a cool thing. And then so when I thought about what role does the giant person in the center of the room play when it comes to Gun Pixies, it's kind of nothing, right? They just kind of sit there. You shoot them and then you make them, relaxed or whatever, which, has its own sexual tendencies with that. But that's kind of just what it is. And I do like that game, but I don't think it's necessarily for the reasons I originally came into that game expecting, of just hey, what's it like to fight this giant lady with an assault rifle that shoots little energy beams that make them relaxed and sleepy kind of thing. So what was interesting to me about this game in particular is that these were very direct interactions with this giant. So basically it's a very simple game. It's less than 15 minutes on your first playthrough, and that's it. There's one stage. All you're doing is collecting 5 coins in the environment. So you're this little weird soldier guy. I'm pretty sure it's all used Unity assets, things like that. So I don't think there's any unique aesthetic here or anything like that. But you go collect these coins, and but to get around the level, to get up to collect the coins, you have this giant fox lady who is able to kind of pick you up and move you around the environment. So you have basically the ability to move around yourself a little bit, and you can jump. So there's a lot of things. I wouldn't be surprised if you could just jump around and beat the whole game without ever interacting with this lady. But kind of the important thing is that you basically blow a little whistle. She comes, she'll pick you up, and then she kind of walks you around the room, and you can use that as a way to scout for where the coins are, and when you find a coin, you can basically point and click at a place and say, hey, I want to go there. And she's not very gentle about letting you go. She kind of just throws you up places. It's pretty jarring at times, especially in VR, because she just will grab you and you just kind of move around in a way you're not really expecting. So all the Japanese, all 2 Japanese reviews that were there were talking about the fact that they were getting motion sickness from playing. And I did get a little bit of motion sickness, but only from a very specific thing where I'm about the spoilers. There's a coin that's on herself, so you have to figure out how to get to the coin on her body. I'll put it that way. And so it's actually hard to do. It's the hardest one to get, in my opinion. But not so much for the fact that it's just a difficult task. It's more just the game's a little janky in how you interact with her body as you kind of move down her body, kind of thing. And then so you have to keep falling off. So I'm every time I fall off, I ask her to grab me. And then so it's kind of funny because she'll grab you midair. So you'll be falling down and just grabbed, and then your camera will tilt and jank as she moves you in front of her, kind of thing. And then you can put yourself back up above her and then drop back down, kind of thing. So, but yeah, I like the core concept a lot because it is this thing where you're having to cooperate with this giant to get you to go to places, right? This giant ideally is the only way you can get to places. I think my big problem, other than the short length, I wasn't expecting much. It's a $4 or $5 game for DL site. For a short experience, that's about right. DL site, Japanese doujin games price themselves at the right price, in my opinion, which is often very expensive from a Western point of view, but these are, very small projects, and I think it's good for people to get their value out of it, right? But it's $3 right now. I think it was on sale when I picked it up. So, very short experience overall. But I think within the scope of the game, what I would have liked to have seen is it to be more dangerous for you to fall. Because I think there's a lot of opportunity when you play that game to just throw yourself on the ground, pick up, start over, put yourself back up top. But I think if it was a little bit more dangerous, where there's a certain fall damage or something like that, where you can't fall after a certain height, it would make navigating that world a lot more interesting. And it also, I think, would make you a lot more careful with where the lady's going to put you, rather than just throwing yourself up in the air and just hoping you land somewhere, kind of thing. Part of that's self-control and things like that. You don't necessarily have to drop down way far, but I think it'd be a funner way to be oh, she can't reach me here and I need to get back to her to give her the coin. So how do I get back down there to the point where she can reach me? And then so she can reach up and grab me off the shelf. Because there's sometimes you're on something that's way above her. And so she'll reach and try to get you, but she can't get you, kind of thing. So I think that would have been pretty cool to like add some stakes to it with that kind of thing. And if it was a longer game, I think there would be having more diversity in how you interact with her would be, I think, better as well. I think putting the coin on her body does change the game a little bit, which I think is cool. But I think overall, more or less, she's just kind of picking you up and throwing you. And I think that's a cool concept. This is more or less a tech demo kind of thing. But I think it would have been nice to see it like fleshed out a bit more. But again, I think I can only ask so much for something built like this, right? So